Lifestyle here, child of God. And how y'all doing today? Things are getting crazier and crazier in the world. Did you see a plane went down in San Diego? A plane went down in San Diego and destroyed 15 houses today. Crazy. Back on the second session of planes falling out the sky. Um, Men lie, women lie. The evidence don't. That is the title of today's broadcast. And, I really wanted to talk about, as you can see, I have all the all-stars in the video tab. And, this is something that we don't talk about. We don't talk about people's, man, how did I want to start this? This is going to be interesting. Well, let's talk about Cassie and Diddy first, right? And how much a part of Diddy's criminal organization Cassie was a part of. Come to find out, she was with the ish. She was with the ish. She was down to ride. She was down to do whatever Diddy told her to do. Although, I kept saying to myself, when is her music gonna come out? You know what I mean? When she was with Diddy, I kept saying, like, what is she there for? I thought she was a musician. Like, she never put out anything like that. We know why. She was too busy freaking off. She was too high off drugs, possibly. And possibly Diddy just didn't want her to expand, right? He was so controlling over her. But apparently we find out she's with the freak off. She's down to ride. She's down to go get it. She's down to do whatever. And a lot of the women, when you got money like that, a lot of women are like, I think that we forget that men with power, even women with power, right? But men with power meaning money, and lots of it. Women tend to do strange things for that. You know what I mean? They'll tend to ride or die. You know what I mean? Because of the money, right? Until the court of public opinion gets into it. Once the court of public opinion gets into it, then it changes, right? Because people don't want to lose their reputations. They don't want to lose their ambiance, the glory, right? They don't want to lose the glory. So I think it's always interesting when we see these types of things. And then really quickly, let's bounce over to Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, right? And so with Megan and Tory Lanez, it's looking more and more like Megan was lying. You know what I mean? And we have to see the evidence. We've seen that Tory has been going through a lot. Tory he got 10 years. Tory was in jail. He was doing all right. He already did 2 years. And Tory got stabbed up really, really badly. You know what I mean? And it was terrible what happened to Tory. Obviously, we do know that this is prison lifestyle. It's sad what happened. I feel really bad for Tory, but Tory was doing really well, and then all of a sudden he got poked up 16 times. And in that time period, also there's evidence that one of the bodyguards that was there can testify. This bodyguard saying that Tory didn't shoot Meghan. And so we're really about to find out how much men are liars and how much women are liars, right? And how much things in this world bend, right, over to certain individuals and their power, their money, their success, who they're aligned with, right? The world will bend for you. And so I'm really sympathetic when it comes to Cassie's situation, although apparently she was with the ish. Cassie was with the ish, you know what I mean? And it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it just doesn't surprise me. But what I would say is that I'm really sad about some of the things that they were saying that Diddy did to her. Like, You know, it was a lot. And, you know, both of them were drug addicts, apparently. I don't even want to call them drug addicts. They were just part of the lifestyle. And part of that lifestyle is doing drugs and having freak offs. And see, that's really what I wanted to get into today. Besides the obvious men lie, women lie, but the evidence don't. And what I really wanted to get into is that um, we think it's so far fetched to see these things on TV, right? And oh, there's so much I want to get into. So much I want to get into. But let me just stay focused here. So, oh, older and wiser. Hello, and Cassie Kim. Hello, how are you? Um, in America, and across the globe, freak offs have been going on for ages, right? For ages and ages. People have been freaking off, meaning fulfilling their fantasy need, right? Their vice sexually, right? People have been freaking off for ages. You know what I mean? During the Egyptians, during Rome, the Greeks, everything. Any point period in time, people have been freaking off. And I think that this thing where we kind of try to hide it, right? We try to hide these things when really a lot of us are in a place in our minds and hearts that we want to freak off, you know what I mean? And that's just the bottom line to it. And Tariq, I was listening to him one day, and he said something that's really factual. He said, like, some people just like to do dope and freak off. You know what I mean? And that's absolutely correct. Like, some people just like to freak off and do dope and freak off some more. And we criminalize it, you know what I mean? And I think that that's wrong, that we criminalize those things, because um, people aren't necessarily committing crimes doing this. Like, if she's willing and he's willing, right, meaning that they both are giving their consent, and they're doing what they do in the group there that's involved in this freak off, if they're all giving their consent, right, then as long as no minors are being harmed, as long as you know, nothing's going on of illegal activity besides doing dope, right? Doing drugs. You know, I mind my business. That's their business. You know what I mean? And if they want to freak off, they want to freak off. Obviously, in the Christian community, things like that are definitely looked frowned upon, right? That's haram in the Muslim community, right? That's haram, these types of things. But they still go on in the Christian communities. They go on in the Muslim communities too, right? Don't think that these freak offs are just limited to so-called sinners, right? There are many of groups, even Christians, even people who believe in the God, the Father, the Most High. They freak off. You know what I mean? And we also know that these roots of freaking off, they come from demonic sources, right? From demonic I don't want to say that they come from. What I'll say is that as researching this, that demonic powers tend to use freak offs or orgies, right, to manifest, right, different types of entities or different types of powers, right? These cults, these groups, they manifest energy, you know, using the energy of the freak off, right? The energy of the orgy, right? But their purposes of them doing that, I'm not really all the way understanding or sure why they do those things, or what they need power for, why they need to manifest energy off these freak offs, right? I'm thinking of um I can't see what he said. I can't see what you said. But anyways, um yeah, so we just need to understand that this is a normal part of society, like, and we really should just mind our business when it comes to those things, and we shouldn't shun people unless there's illegal activity going on. That's just my opinion on it. you know, as I'm watching different reviews from the Diddy trial, different, you know, and they're making the Diddy trial. The Diddy trial is like the new, um, this is the new thing, the Diddy trial. The Diddy trial is the new, I'm trying to think. It's like the new syndicate. It's like the new sitcom. It's like the new Basketball Wives. It's the new for TV, right? Everybody and their mom is going to the Diddy's trial, right? And I remember back in the day when I was a child that Nicole, OJ Simpson's wife, right? And how unfortunate that was. But OJ Simpson's wife, you know, the murder of her and her, the person she was cheating on OJ with, and I forgot his name. And, you know, OJ supposedly killed them, right? And he went on trial for that. But that was on TV. Like, I remember us watching it in elementary school, Indian style, sitting on the carpet, watching the OJ trial, right? And that's what these trials are becoming like, especially with the Diddy trial, because it's so interesting, right? They should have wrote a book about this, right? They are probably going to do a movie, a Netflix or something about the Diddy life, you know what I mean, where the trial will be included. But there's just so many people going to this trial to watch him go down and burn, right? To see what really the weirdness of Cassie, like her, to see how, not that she's weird, but I'm just saying that as a term, but to see how freaky Cassie really is, right? Because that information comes out, right, in court. All the information comes out, and to know that she was just down to do all this stuff, right? And it's entertaining. People's downfalls and people's sins is entertaining. It's entertaining to us. That's why we're going to the trial. An immense amount of people, they got an overflow, they were saying, where if you can't fit in the courtroom, they send you to the overflow. It's like, is this church? Like, why are we all going to this trial and feeding energy into this? You know what I mean? If we really don't want this type of stuff in our society, why are we pushing this type of energy out there for us to feed on, right? Every day there's an update on the Diddy trial. And I guess I've been trying to hold off on this live because I wanted to get as much information as I could to accurately depict on what's going on with the Diddy case. But, you know, in my opinion, I don't really see them proving that he was sex trafficking or any reason for like the RICOs, except for possibly they were saying that he might have been mixing some of the money from here and there, right? Mixing the money up, you know what I mean? And that happens when you're making money. You mix money up sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like, I got to pull from this resource to compensate for that resource, right? When you're in business, that happens at times. But obviously I don't mean to I don't mean to like organize blowing up somebody's vehicle. Apparently that's what Diddy was up to. But apparently Cassie was threatening folks too, you know what I mean? Cassie was one of these I don't know if I want to call him an escort or stripper, whoever her cock was. The cat was, that was it's funny, but I'm not judging them. But you know, whoever who has footage of her, you know, pounding her out basically, whoever has this footage, right, threatened her, right? And so she was like, motherfucker, I'll have you killed. You know what I mean? like Cassie was out here on her mob shit. Like, I'll have you fucking strung up and hung. You know what I mean? I'll have you killed. You know what I mean? This is what Cassie is reportedly saying to folks as they're going through the Diddy trial. I'm just like, Cassie. It's like, no wonder Diddy kept you around for so long. She would get high. Dog, I should not be laughing at this because it really is not funny. It's not entertaining. It's sad, actually. I find it to be really sad, to be quite honest with you. But Cassie up here, possibly doing lines, you know what I mean? And just screaming out, you know what I mean? Um, Bad boy for life, you know what I mean? I could just see Cassie snorting a line and maybe popping an e-pill and not all at once, but whatever your flavor is, and just you know what I mean, can't stop, won't stop. I can see Cassie just being ride or die, just like Young Miami was ride or die for Diddy, you know what I mean? And she was a little bit more strategic with it, you know what I mean? She looks more sober than anything. Like, she looks like she's been through this sex worker industry, right? She looks like she's been through that industry sober. You know what I mean? That the shit don't affect her, and she is really about the money, right? For her, it's she's really going on that Players Club. If you remember the movie Players Club, she's really going on that Players Club ethics, right? That rule book. Young Miami seemed to know how to play the game a little bit better than Cassie. Cassie just got turned out by the lifestyle, and she loved it. Like, that's the thing. And even in court, she missed the lifestyle. She loved it. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I mean, that's what you want to do with your life. That's what you want to do with your life. So I don't have no judgments about that. I think that we keep trying to make, in America and possibly the globe, but really in America, we keep trying to let taboo things happen, but then when we uncover them, we want to be like, gasp. We want to be like, gasp. I can't believe Diddy. I can't believe Cassie. And for me, I'm like, oh man, more power to them, man. I think that where Diddy messed up at, besides the obvious, right? Where he really messed up at is he was supposed to marry a rider. I mean, Cassie was a rider. He should have just married her. With all his girlfriends and all that supposedly he had, that she was not the only one. And we know that Kim Porter was still there. Kim Porter was probably a part of the freak off lifestyle too. She's probably been a part of it, right? That's the whole thing when it comes to her son with the guy. Dang, what is his name? I'll be sure, right? When it comes to Kim Porter and I'll be sure, you know what I mean? And then the weirdness of I'll be like, and her relationship departing, right? But then like the like the trade-off of like, you could have my girl and my son type thing, right? We always thought that was, what the fuck was that? Excuse my language. We always used to be like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Why has Diddy been raising your child for so many years? Like, what's going on? And Diddy probably was an infamous figure. Like, people feared him. You know what I mean? And I believe that. I believe that people feared him. There's things that probably we don't know about, that we'll never know about when it comes to Diddy and some of the things that he might have been involved in, right? But I think that I think that Kim Porter was a part of the lifestyle. She was there for a long time. You know what I mean? And the money keeps you there, right? The clothes. I was listening to somebody else talk about it. It's the money, the clothes, right? For females, anyways. The money and the clothes, right? The having the $1 million hairstylist and the $1 million makeup artist, and just being able, just being on queen princess status all time, right? It'll keep you wanting to be in that lifestyle, and I understand it. You know what I mean? I get it. Like, you get wooed by the money and the power, right? But I feel like Kim Porter was a part of that too, and possibly Diddy's mom. I say possibly, allegedly, possibly, because that didn't come out in the trial yet, but they did say that. I think they said that something about Diddy was calling Cassie his mom's name while they was getting into it, and I was like, nigga, you nasty nigga. I was like, dog. When I was hearing some of this stuff, I was like, hey, yo, Diddy, you a little trifling. You a little trifling, dog. You trifling. You need to and nigga Diddy is a little trifling. But these things have been going on for ages, and not even just on the high levels of the superstardoms, right? it's been going on at all different levels, you know, different organizations, fraternities, sororities, et cetera, et cetera. These things go on, but we need to stop making them taboo, right? We need to stop alienating these topics, right? We need to really bring them up and converse about them and have a better understanding of sex education. Really, I think that this is a part of sex education, right? When you grow up in high school and middle school, I don't know when they really start teaching you sex education. I forgot. I think mine was, it might have been 8th, 9th grade. It might have been 8th or 9th grade. But when they teach you sex education, they're not really teaching you the ins and outs of these things. And maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. I'm not here to vote on that matter. But what I'm saying is that these are the facts of life. These are a part of life. This is a part of why people cheat as well on their spouses or their boyfriends or their girlfriends, on their wives. You know what I mean? People come from ulterior, and we find this out. Really, we found this out in the case. In the case, apparently, after they had already split up and left, apparently Cassie went to go give it up to Diddy while her boyfriend was calling her on FaceTime one day. She was in there freaking off. You know what I mean? She was getting dirty. You know what I mean? She was dirty. What is that song that Diddy got with the dirty money? She was in there wiping dirty money on herself, and her husband's calling her on the FaceTime. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we tend to get in these relationships with people, men and women, right? Or for people who enjoy that really alternative lifestyle, same sex, whatever, you know what I mean? People really be into more than you know, right? Whether they want to tell you or not. And a lot of the times they don't want to tell you, one, because they don't really want to invite you. You're not really the type of person that would be in that hemisphere of those things that are going on, right? You wouldn't be invited to these types of things because you're not one of those types of people that we invite. So, you know what I mean? And not to hate on anybody, it's just some organizations or some groups or some friends or some whatever, they tend to invite certain people to these types of things, right? And when you with your significant other, you know, you might like that person, but you don't really want them to know that you really prefer freaking off, you know what I mean? In whatever way you freak off, you know what I mean? And I think that that's sad. We need to start getting in relationships with people that also freak off the way we freak off, right? They're into the same kinks. They're into the same kinks. They're into the same kinks that we're into, you know what I mean? And I hate to see these things get exposed, right? The truth. Because this is really the truth of how life is when it comes to relationships. Like this Diddy Cassie trial, you know what I mean? I think people are more upset about the physicalities that happened, the DV, right, that happened with Cassie and Diddy than their freak offs. I think that we are getting to a place where we're starting to accept it, even though we really need to talk about it. We really need to talk about it because Cassie's husband stormed out the courtroom when he heard some of the things that Cassie was into and that she enjoyed, that she probably cracked a smile at low key, right? And he doesn't have those same privileges as her. I don't think they're married, but as her boyfriend, who's impregnated this woman, possibly was about to marry this woman, he might not have those same. He probably can't just pee on Cassie whenever he get ready to. I don't mean to laugh. He probably can't you know, do some of the kinky things that her and Diddy were doing, you know what I mean? He's probably not privy to that, meaning that she didn't give him access to it, meaning that she don't want him to do it. He's limited on what he can do to her, right? Because possibly she really might not be attracted to him like that, right? She might be there just for the bag, for a safety net, to feel better about herself. You know what I mean? She really only broke up with Diddy because he was dating another woman, and this is after the DV. You see what I'm saying? Women will hold cold, and men too. Men, and this is why it's called men lie, women lie, because men and women will pound something out, but be having a whole nother person on their mind while they pounding or getting pounded, have a whole nother person on their mind, imagining this person doing what's being done to them, if you feel what I'm saying. And so that's what I'm saying. This men lie, women lie, but the evidence don't. And when it comes to this Meghan, the Stallion Tory thing, it's the same situation, really. Meghan and her friend, I can't remember her name, begins with a K, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. The Meghan and her friend, they out here being hoes, you know what I mean, and freaking off with Tory, because Tory been on top of Meghan for a little while, and you know, when you in that lifestyle, you got a bunch of friends. Your friends might want to fuck the dude too, type shit. Forget my language. And so, you know, things happen, and next thing you know, they freaking off. And we already know Meghan she on that sex worker lifestyle, right? Allegedly, she be a part of that sex worker lifestyle, right? We can tell by her videos and the things that she promotes in her videos, and just how she be acting and all that, right? And I don't mean that she is a sex worker. I just mean that she's in that lifestyle where she's freaking off, right? And more power to her if that's what she's into. But you know, that basically was the basis of their relationship. Kelsey, I think is her name, her best friend's name, Megan's name. So Kelsey, Meghan, and Tory, right? They supposedly were grouping together to do things, right? To freak off, supposedly. But things turned left one day, and somebody ended up getting shot. And supposedly the evidence is coming out. We seen that the lawyers came up after Tory got stabbed, that there was a bodyguard that was there watching the whole thing that says that Tory never shot Kelsey. So what does that mean? Like, what does that really mean? And see, they presented this evidence before Tory got stabbed up. This evidence was presented to Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer, Miss Peterson's lawyer. I think her last name is Peterson. I think. I stand corrected if it's not. But this evidence, they said, you know, Tory's lawyer's like, well, we got this new evidence that we want to put out there. We got a witness. They said that they never seen this and that, such and such. And so next thing you know, Tory literally, not within 24 hours after that, he gets stabbed up. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? That means that we're going to see what's going to happen, because possibly Meghan did lie. And possibly this is all a cover-up to protect Kelsey, right? Who was a woman who was Meghan's friend. I don't think they're friends anymore. So this is very interesting in the sense of, like, this started off with everybody freaking off, right? This started off with everybody freaking off, and now somebody has to pay a consequence for it, right? This, in the Diddy situation, Cassie situation, it's started off with the freak-offs, and now somebody's paying a consequence for it. But in the beginning, everybody was freaking off, having a good time, right? Everybody was freaking off, right? That's part of this industry, music, entertainment industry. Like, everybody tends to freak off with everybody. You feel what I'm saying? So everybody was freaking off, but at the end of the freak off, there's always some dramatic drama that happens, something super dramatic that happens. And so men are lying and women are lying, but the evidence is not lying. You know what I mean? And you know, I wish they would have just brought Diddy the DV charges, but they can't put those charges on him. So they had to come up with something else, these RICO charges, which, in my opinion, they're not proving a RICO case or sex trafficking. All these women allegedly are a part of they want to be a part of it. The escorts want to be a part of it. They accepted payment for it. I'm guessing some of the escorts, wherever they were, where it was illegal to accept payment for these types of transactions. Um, it's just an interesting world. And see, we need to get past this thing. We need to really start talking about these things and just saying to ourselves, um, sit down with your partner and just say to yourself, this is what I'm really into. When you're at work, this is when you're at work. This is what I'm doing when you're at work. You know what I mean? And when you're at the gym, this is what I'm doing when you're at the gym. Like, I'm watching this tape online, or I'm doing this and that. You know what I mean? So it's like, we need to really be more honest with our counterparts. And I think some relationships are like that. They get down and really get honest with each other, especially those ones that do freak off together. Those people, from what I'm understanding, tend to be together a little bit longer, because we look at what's going on. We keep seeing divorce and divorce and divorce and divorce, and a lot of it is infidelity. I'm sure there's other reasons, but a lot of it is infidelity. But really, are we having the conversation? Are we sitting down with ourselves and saying, you match me in every area of my life? Even though your partner can't be you, fix you, heal you type thing, right? Nobody can deal with your internal but you. But we tend to need to get with partners that are fulfilling our every essence and need, right? When it comes down to those nitty gritty things like sex, you know what I mean? We don't talk about that. And I've been studying because I wanted to do another live on um, on masturbation, right? When it comes to men and women, right? And how women really masturbate more than men. And their studies are showing that. Um, but we don't antagonize women as much as we do men for doing it, right? Even though when you go to any sex store, not even sex store, you can go to like a convenience store, tobacco store, they got all the stuff for women. You know what I mean? You see the stuff for women, like the toys and stuff women have, like you see that. And it's like, man, they really like to alienate men for doing it, but like women, it seems like women are doing it way more, watching way more porn, and are way more sexually inclined, right? Um, but it seems that way. I'm just kind of going lightly off of some things that I wrote down here that I wanted to speak about. Um, but yeah, men lie, women lie. The evidence is not, and notice how I underline vid, because apparently a lot of people are recording videos of folks freaking off, right, as evidence to release later and against them, right? It's like, yeah, I was doing this to you, and if you don't comply, I'm going to release this tape. And it's like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we was recording this for fun. Like, I didn't know you was gonna turn around and try to use this against me to not only hurt me, but to, like, keep me in check, in alignment, like to have power over me. But a lot of the times in a Diddy situation, they possibly were recording things because they're dealing with major players. Major players meaning people in high offices, right? People in high corporation ranks, or people in high social order ranks, right? And so they needed evidence to maybe use against them, right? Because these people are so powerful. If you don't have something like that, how could you navigate in dealing with them and dealing with them with business or in just anything in life, because people are very ruthless when it comes to the business world and power, right? People are very ruthless. So a lot of people, hey Shayla, man, Shayla, I'm glad you popped up, because I pray to God that you're not a child. like because I looked at your page and I was like, oh man. And I had to go put a post on my community page like, look, I don't support any children following my channel, because I just don't support it. Like, you know what I mean? And I know children follow all types of people's channels, but like, it's just kind of, I just don't want to be inappropriate. You know what I mean? And I don't want inappropriate things going on, and I don't want to get caught up in nothing. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's too easy nowadays. Next thing you know, this child is watching your channel. Next thing you know, somebody's at your door, and you're like, what? I'm just recording stuff that I feel like I should record. But I just wanted to ask you that, beloved. Yes, go get groceries, beloved. Go get those groceries. Go to Aldi. Stop at Aldi and stop at Whole Foods. You know what I mean? Grab a couple things from Whole Foods. But stop at Aldi's, though. Because Aldi's got the hookup. And go by Safeway. I tend to like Safeway a little bit more than I like Harris Teeter. Harris Teeter has a lot of good things, but I like Safeway a little bit more. But yeah, men lie. And women lie, but the evidence doesn't. And we really need to start having these conversations about sex and sexual lifestyles and the things that people are into. And that doesn't mean that it has to be like this super public thing, but what I mean basically is like when it comes to our little social groups, or when it comes to our loved ones, meaning like spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, we should be speaking to them about what our true niches are in sexual patterns, right? We need to speak about our niches in those sexual patterns and our sexual appetites, you know what I mean? Because it can help save the relationship. It can help get you to the right place in relationships. Maybe you're not supposed to be with this person. Maybe you should be with this person. And I think that Cassie and Diddy were meant for each other. Like, they should have just stayed together. Diddy should have married Cassie, because she was a rider. She was like, she was setting the things up. She was like, shoot, I got a freak off for us tonight. Did you get your IV, daddy? Like, did you take your IV for the day, daddy? So you can get your energy up. And, I feel like Danny Kane, the lady that was testifying, Dawn, like I said, a lot of these women were probably with the shit. They probably was all up in there on some porn star shit, working it out. You feel what I'm saying? They was all up in there passing the pink cocaine around, and everybody was in there working it out. You feel what I'm saying? That's what I believe was going on, because of my previous experiences of these things and just knowing things. Like, I'm pretty sure that motherfucker was in there working it out. You know what I mean? And I think that that's where Diddy's downfall was. Like, Diddy should have just married Cassie. I think that that's what she was like. She's like, in her mind, she was like, bitch, I'm a rider. You know what I mean? You don't just throw me away like that. You supposed to come chase after this. I done let you do everything in the world to me. And I done let you hire other people to do anything and everything in the world to me while you watch. And so you should have just married the chick. You know what I mean? You should have just married her. Like, she was a rider. You know what I mean? She was down to ride. She was down to get it popping. You feel what I'm saying? And you might as well just marry a woman like that. Young Miami, though, she handled her cards really correct. You know what I mean? In accordance to all this new evidence that we're being revealed to. And I'm sure she was a part of the freak offs at some point. You know what I mean? But she scares me a little bit, because she got that she got a lot of like LGBTQ friends and stuff like that, and more power to her for that. But I had to go back on Diddy's Instagram, right? And I had to go look at some of the stuff that he was posting. And I had to say to myself, I don't know. I think this is a little bit more beyond what Diddy is saying. I think he might actually love everyone. You know what I mean? Because I think he might like love everyone. Literally. Like literally, I think Diddy really does love everyone. Like, and I don't mean love, I mean freak off love. You know what I mean? I think he really does. Um, but I don't know. This we just need to be open about these types of things and have these discussions like a town hall almost. You know what I mean? Um, so that people have clarity and people have choice. Like you want to give people choice, right? You want people to be able to choose, do they want to be a part of this and do they not want to be a part of this? You know what I mean? I actually have a story, but I'm nervous about talking about this story. I have a story though. Um, yeah, I can't talk about this story. I want to talk about it, but I can't talk about it. It just wouldn't be right to the parties that were a part of this. And if they were here conversating with me, it'd be dope. You know what I mean? As we could talk about it. But I would just say like you don't want to like be doing those types of things, and then like people like are not don't want to be a part of that stuff. You feel what I'm saying? Like you might be getting it popping, things might be popping off. You know what I mean? But all of a sudden, like there might be other people in the room, you know what I mean, on the other side in another room or whatever, and somebody pop up and they might be like, oh my God, type shit. And they might be like, cover themselves type shit, or like, you know what I mean? And you don't want to, you don't want to invite people to the party if they don't want to be a part of the party, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And low key. I wish I could tell the story, but I can't tell that story. Because I know I'm gonna be in big trouble. If I tell that story, I'm gonna be in big trouble, dog. I can't tell that story. Whew. I cannot tell that story. But what I would say is that, I like riders. You know what I mean? I like riders like Cassie. You know what I'm saying? I like them like that. You know, people tend to think that everybody needs to be purified, or this person needs to be a virgin, or like this, I need to be your first, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, nah, I like a seasoned woman, if you ask me. I like a woman who's seasoned and um and who likes to express herself. You know what I mean? She likes to express herself and the ways that she expresses herself. You know what I mean? I love a woman like that. Um, yeah, I think I have to end it on that note. Let me see how much battery I got. Yeah, I got to end it on that note because thank God, saved by the bell. But yeah, I think we just need to have more conversations about the freak offs. I think that we need to do more education about it. I mean, a lot of people freak off, um, and it's not such a taboo thing. It's sad that it's become entertainment. Um, but all this drama that we're seeing and is dealing with actually comes from the freak off, like Tory and Kelsey and Meghan and Diddy and Cassie and everybody else. You know what I mean? All this stuff boils down to, it started with the freak off and now it's boiling down to, somebody has to pay. And it's sad that we watch and entertain ourselves with people's downfalls. That's the part I really don't like about it. Tory's situation is not entertaining to me, and it's sad. And Diddy's situation, although it's entertaining, obviously, it's very sad what's going on because he is a brother, and I hate to see brothers go down. They even trying to take down Smokey Robinson. He's like 88. They trying to take down Smokey Robinson. Some of the women said that Smokey was getting too touchy-feely, you know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, Smokey Robertson? It's like he's 88 years old, you know what I mean? And I'm sure whatever women in there working for him, you know, they're gonna get taken care of. They're gonna be in his will. So like, what more can you get from Smokey? Like, but whatever. But you know, we've seen a lot of our black men get taken down, and a lot of it is because of the freak off. R. Kelly. R. Kelly was kind of dark when it came to some of his freak off shit. He said, "Bitch, excuse my language." He said, "Bitch, I want you in a cage. I want you to be in that cage for about an hour, just turning me on." Like what? Like hold on, R. Kelly. Like some of your kinks is you a little too kinky, dog. You gotta relax. You can't just be putting them in the cage. You know what I mean? You can't. They're not. You know, we can't put them in the cage, R. Kelly. We can't do that. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he was thinking about or what was on his mind. But you know, R. Kelly, some of the things he was doing was freaky. He was freaking off, and the women loved it, and women still love it. You know what I mean? Even though he's locked up and he's been held accountable, you know, people still love it. They still would throw their undergarments on stage for him. You know what I mean? They'll still give it up to him. So we really need to have this talk about power, when men and women get it, and history, and how all these different things happen. You know, there's, oh man, I wish I could remember that TV series. There's a TV series where it's about Rome and like kings and queens and stuff, and they was forcing, because these people were slaves, they were forcing the slaves to freak off, you know what I mean, right in front of them, and they was matching people together that probably shouldn't have been matched together, but they was making them do it, or they'd kill you. You know what I mean? So this thing goes back far, far, far. You know what I mean? I had a young dancer one time tell me like these ethical codes that we follow, pretty much, she didn't say that verbatim, but a lot of these things that we do and follow, you know, these are old time things. These things been going on, right? So we need to understand that, and we need to come to a place as Americans where we can put out the information so that people can make a choice, you know what I mean? So that people don't have to involve themselves in things that they don't want to. And we need to understand that people are going to freak off, you know what I mean? And that we should probably, like with drugs, we should probably create safety environments for them, you know what I mean? Because people are going to freak off. Like the brother said, people like to do dope, and they like to afterwards, you know what I mean? They want to do dope, and then they want to freak off, you know what I mean? And coming from where I come from, I you know, I cannot sit here and judge folks like that. I would just say that, you know, get to the right partners. You know what I mean? There's a partner there for you that's into the same stuff you into. Get to that partner. Release your partner who you haven't released certain things about yourself to them, and they don't know that you're into certain things, and you're not really excited about your partner, because a lot of the times we're holding each other back. We're holding each other back because, you know, it's all about control, and it's all about greed. You know what I mean? And so we got to get past that. But with this Diddy thing, and with this this Tory Meghan thing, it's just showing that we need better relationships, and we need to be more honest with each other. And it's sad if Meghan really lied. You know what I mean? It's sad because look at all that brother went through, and if it comes out, this is biblical. And Tory, from what his dad said, Tory's been on his deen. Like, he's been really praying and speaking to the Most High, and dealing with his situation as best as he can. As best as he can. But, like, this is a Bible story, because if it come out that she was lying, If this new evidence proves that Meghan was lying, that's a daggone Bible story for you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to tell you that's a Bible story. And it's really going to put things in perspective, like for men, when it comes to dealing with women. If Meghan is found out to be lying, you know what I mean? If this is a whole lie, and it's going to put strain on Rock meaning the Rock Nation, Jay-Z thing, you know what I mean? It's going to put a strain on that. It's going to put a strain on Beyonce. Like, look at this Diddy trial. The Diddy trial leaked over into Jay situation. And Jay had to tighten that situation all the way up. You know what I mean? He had to make sure he stayed lawyered up. He's been extra quiet because he doesn't want to mess up his situation. Because Diddy a freak off, and he didn't marry who he been freaking off. You should have just married Cassie, dog. You should have just married Cassie. Cassie obviously don't care who you lay with. You know what I mean? But she wanted to. She was Diddy for life. You should have just married her. And when you got that much money, if you needed that many girlfriends, you could have just married all these wives. You know what I mean? And at least you're married to them. You know, at least they have a place. But you can't just be freaking them off and then dusting them off and having people, you know, these models, new models and all this stuff, you know what I mean? You freaking them off so they can get fame and notoriety, and you hurting people's feelings along the way, you know what I mean? Because Cassie was down. She was a rider. She even took the domestic violence. Like, she was like, fuck that, I'm trying to stay in this billionaire bag. You know what I mean? Even look at Dana White. You know, Dana White, even though he was in Mexico, Dana White went blow to blow with his wife. You know what I mean? She slapped him. He slapped her. She slapped him back. He slapped her back. It's like, okay, this is not the first time that they've done this before. Like, Dana and his wife, they be smacking each other. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of relation. And they still married. Dana didn't divorce her. She didn't divorce Dana White. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just an understanding that there needs to be had between the man and the woman when it comes to these things. But, you know, I'm looking to see them to prove that Diddy was a sex trafficker and that he was a Rico and all this other stuff. I don't know. I don't see that happening. And I'm looking to see if Meghan gets proven wrong, if she gets proven that she was a liar, because what are they going to do with that? Are they going to lock Megan Thee Stallion up? That's perjury, you know what I mean, in court. On top of, like, look at what she did to Tory's life. Like, if that's proven with the new evidence, you know, what is going to happen to Megan Thee Stallion? I think that, I don't have an opinion on that. We'll just have to see. But, you know, I think that we just need to keep working on becoming a better society. And part of becoming a better society is we can't hide secrets. We can't be hiding secrets. You gotta walk in yourself. You gotta walk in how you are. You know what I mean? The internet is out here. There's hackers. People are learning to hack. They got free hacking devices online. You could just buy hacking devices, you know what I mean? And whether it's illegal or not legal, people, you're more than likely you're not gonna get caught up. Who's gonna catch you? You know what I mean? So it's just like, you just gotta be transparent. You just gotta be honest. Like, you just gotta be wholeheartedly out there. And so there's this battle with revelation and transparency with the old school. The old school is not like that. The old school wants to hide everything. They want you to die to your grave to some of these things. You know what I mean? But really, you know, we don't want people to be slaves to ourselves. You know what I mean? We don't want people to be slaves. So we set them free. We set them free with revelation. We set them free with the truth. We don't want people to be slaves to us. You know, who wants to keep somebody a slave to them? Some people do. I'm not one of those people. You know, I still have certain individuals from my past hit me up, and I feel a certain kind of way about it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want nobody to slave to me, and I don't want to be a slave to nobody. So whatever you need to say to me, go ahead. Whatever I need to say to you, hopefully I can go ahead. You know what I mean? But um, yeah, we don't want to be we don't want to keep slaves to us. You know what I mean? And I don't want no sex slave. I want a rider like Cassie. I want you to be willing participant. I want you to be a willing participant. I don't need you to be a sex slave. I don't want to control you with drugs. I don't want to control you that way. I want you to just be a rider. You know what I mean? Just because you want to ride. Because you want to ride. You feel what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Men lie, women lie, but the evidence is not lying. And what the evidence is saying is that we all messed up. Whether you on the women's side or the men's side, we all are messed up. And we better do right and get it fixed. You know what I mean? We better do right and get it fixed. Because our society it's just going down, 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 down. It's just going down, 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 downhill, man. Our society is just going downhill. And it's really because of our moral standing. And a lot of us just don't care. We only care about us and what we need right now in the moment, not knowing we need to be prepared for the future at all times. You know what I mean? So it's already 56 in. Lifestyle here, child of God. Peace.